Morning YouTube, Last Planeswalker here for another video, second day in a row. So it's been a few hours since the set's released. Training still hasn't gone live, so I'm assuming that they may not do training, which is odd because there is a little training Murders of Karlov Manor icon there. So, unsure what's happening, so since there's no training, I'm going to be your guide on the new mechanics. So we're going to use Khan for this. We're in story mode because it's easy to do these with a predetermined bot. Essentially, that's what story modes are. They're predetermined, they don't change. And that gets us to see how the mechanics work, the pros, the cons. Whereas versus seeing a real-life opponent in Training Ground, there's a little more error for combinations like Galta, Atraxia, stuff that's going to speed up their side of the game to win, which kind of slows down our chances of showcasing the different mechanics. So Khan is the best option because he has every card of every type. So we do have a legacy card, Binding the Old Gods. That's just kind of so I can fetch lands. So the first mechanic we're going to showcase is Saddle. When this card becomes saddled, reinforce your first creature 2 times on turn. Saddle reads, at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another creature with power X and more, this creature becomes saddled until the beginning of your next turn. X is this card's saddle number. This is a 4/6 with haste, legendary, so it's not too bad on its own. We've got Spree. Spree 1, your first creature gains vigilance until the turn. Your first creature gains double strike until the end of your next turn. And Spree, when you cast this card, if your Spree counter is equal or higher than this card's Spree number, perform all related effects. We'll showcase the emblem for this, but that is actually kind of a really fun little mechanic, I won't lie. Inescapable Wolverine, plot 9, exile this card from your hand with mana equal or greater plus value. This card gains a plotted emblem. Some cards have additional effects while this card is plotted. When this creature enters the battlefield, if this card hasn't a plotted emblem, exile the first card from the library, then that card gains plot 1 and gains the plotted emblem. Otherwise, you gain 9 mana. So I'm thinking if this card's plotted, you get 9 mana, but either way, we're just going to showcase plot for this one. And then finally, we have Crime. Beginning of your turn, if you commit a crime, this creature gets +1/+1. Activate 2 black, your opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. When a card of a crime enters the battlefield, you commit a crime. If your planeswalker doesn't have the crime emblem, it gains a crime emblem. While you have the crime emblem, perform this card's associated crime effect. So, crime seems a lot more complicated than it actually is. It seems to be a static emblem that goes onto your planeswalker, and then that's it until it's removed from various effects. You don't have to do different card things to trigger it, whereas Spree you need to match per turn, and then in the turn your Spree counter resets. So, well, I think it resets beginning of your next turn. So with cards like Flash, you can potentially use this to block, for example, with like double strike or vigilance. And then finally, the rest of this cards is just your basic land, Eroded Canyon. This is kind of in here so I can do some video editing for a bug, because last time I tested it, it was converting to green and black, not blue-red. And then obviously we've got Stormcoast blue or red, so these kind of have the same land conversions, so I'm just worried that if it doesn't work, it's because this card's not converting properly. And then we have Telepath just to fetch, Molten Collapse removal, Void Rend removal, and obviously Binding God removal, and fetch lands. So that's the deck. Let's jump on in. I really love this loading artwork. We've got Oko, Vraska. Unsure who this is, but Oko looks like he's got some swag. Honestly, I am really excited about this set. I've been having some fun with some of the cards I got last night. Just disappointed there's no training. So they've got this emblem here. Click on it. This is your Spree. So when I make a match, increase this by 1. At the end of your opponent's turn, this Spree counter turns to 0. So we'll have to lock down that one because there's no point using it. And then we'll match away. There we go. So this one's got plotted. Now, this plot needs 9 mana for it to work. So if we can get it up to 9 mana, then we can plot away. Now, the only thing with Khan is he is a little bit slower to get started because his mana bonuses, until you unleash his first, is +1/+1. So they're not very good. That spree counter keeps dropping. We'll go there. +4, so 5 + 4 is 9. So pretty sure we have 9 mana now. Yeah, we have 9 mana. So we're going to exile from hand. And when you look at your exile, you'll see he now has this plotted emblem. Which basically means the card's been plotted and it will return soon. Okay, so let's start boosting up. So we're going to get Blood Hustler down. Let's get Blood Hustler down. Actually, no, let's get Binding of the Old Gods down first. Let's see if we go into here. So as you see, we have a full hand. Now the question is, since we have a full hand, what happens to the card? Well, it stays in your exile. So you don't have to worry. Even if you don't have a full hand, the card doesn't just fizzle away. So until we get like a free hand, so we go Binding of the Old Gods, Molten Collapse, and then we should next turn get the card back for free. No, we don't. Okay. So I must be wrong. So I think then, if you, so it's got the plotted emblem. I think if you don't have enough space, then it seems this card's just going to kind of fizzle out, which is kind of weird. Let's pull 2 of them. Let's uncap that. So crime, we have the crime emblem. We don't have to do anything different, and we have spree. So let's match. A cool little animation for spree. And because we got spree counter free, we got quite a lot. And it seems to be permanent. Is it permanent? Oh no, it's until then. So vigilance until the end of your turn, which we've still got vigilance. And it double strike until the end of your next turn. So next turn we should lose all of that, I'm assuming. Now here's something interesting I want to test. So this card's got the plotted emblem. Now technically we can't, it's not returned to our hand for free. But if we were to pull this from our exile, then surely when it enters the battlefield, it's going to do its plotted effect? No? Oh, it doesn't have a plotted effect, but it comes in plotted, so that's nice to know. So because crime's like a permanent thing that's never going to go away, it's really cool to see that as soon as every combat turn, now this creature's going to get +1/+1 until your opponent has a card that's going to remove the crime emblem. So crime is a very, how do I put it, a simple mechanic in the sense of you don't have to do extra legwork. You can just cast away. That's the activate ability. Sorry. So as long as you cast one card with crime, you'll always have the crime emblem until some other effect removes it, which is quite of a handy mechanic. Spree really seems to be more dedicated to now you've got to make sure you are always matching. It does look like that some matching from conversion seems to work, so that's not too bad. Because the plotted emblem, I will admit, because the plotted emblem is a permanent emblem, you've got to be mindful now that if you cast a secondary card, because plotted is permanent, it will never get its non-plotted effect. So the card's always going to have its plotted number, so every time a new one enters the battlefield, even if it's not plotted, it's going to get plotted. And then we see the subtle effect, because we are above 2 mana. What? No, 2 power. Now, really interesting about saddle before we make a match. It's combat if you control a creature with power X or more. Interesting is it's not reduced to base power, so it's really easy just to drop a 1/1 token and get it to restack a lot of times for it to then actually work. So we're just going to get another land down and match away. So saddles is pretty cool mechanic. So it's not a permanent effect, so next turn it goes back down to normal, but combine it with other abilities, I think... Okay, I'm actually converting to the right colours. I think I'm converting to the right colours, I didn't notice them. We'll match into black. Do the activated effects. Storm Coast goes down. So we get double strike for Spree. I really do enjoy the Spree look. We'll go Rustler's Rampage again. Rustler's Rampage, no, we'll go Wolverine. And there we go, we've got 12-12, double strike, and then Angry Wolverine. So we're doing quite well. So best way to discuss it, best way to look at what we're seeing is saddled is going to be like a really cool little mechanic if you just want to mess around with interesting effects based on a creature getting a different type, in example. So if you're using Galter, for example, the 15/15, and it's the first creature in your slot, then this card, every time it attacks, it's going to reinforce it 2 times, so Galter becomes a 45/45. So a lot of different saddle mechanics will do little different things. So saddle seems to be more of a mechanic that's thematic to the idea of cowboys. I'm not too sure it's the best mechanic in the set, because you can't really do much if you don't have a creature on the battlefield at the time. Crime so far is my favourite ability, because this is a static emblem. Once you've got it, it's never going anywhere. So it's really good that once you've got it, it stays until your opponent removes it. And then for other cards you have with crime, can do some amazing things. Spree is also a really interesting card. I think Spree is really going to be helpful in decks like Ral. Maybe if you do Legacy and you have a Wizard of the Coast, a Wizard class deck, and you want to do some shenanigans with spells, then maybe that can work. I think for now, Spree is probably up there as one of the best mechanics of the game for spell users. Plot, there we go, we got it again. And game over. Plot is kind of a really interesting mechanic for surprise. You exile a card, make sure you don't have cards in your hand, and then you can fish them out. So that's kind of all the mechanics for this game. So I'm trying to remember. So we got Spree, we got crime, we got plotted, and oh, we're not enough mana to level up to 155. That sucks. We got plotted, Spree, saddled, crime. 4 new mechanics. Crime, static emblem. Once you've got it, it stays on your planeswalker till an opponent removes it. Very good to combine with other crime cards. Let's jump into cards quickly. Outlaws, and then crime. Cool. So you got different really cool cards. So cards like Bowman Intervention, you'll lose the crime emblem. So Spree, target creature loses crime emblem. So unless I need one that does something. There you go. When this creature enters the battlefield, you create a red mercenary token. If you committed a crime, create 3 red mercenary tokens. Really cool fact is, because it's static, every time you have a way to fetch this card, you're always going to create 3 red mercenary tokens, unless your opponent casts something like Thunder Lasso, where you lose the crime emblem. So it's a very cool static ability for extra interesting effects that you can do. Yeah, let's lose the crime emblem. Plot. Let's look at plot. So plot has some very interesting mechanics. So this one gets +6/+6. Now once this card gains the plotted emblem, that emblem is permanent. So every time you cast a new railway brawler, even if it's not plotted, it will always get this 6/6 buff, which is great. Some are a little bit more wordy. So your first creature gets +4/+4, Berserk and Trumpet in return. If this card hasn't a plotted emblem, your first creature gets +7/+7. Makes no sense. So this kind of seems that if you don't plot this card, your first creature will gain the 7/7 buff instead of the 4/4 Berserker Trample. So different plots do different things. Some are worth plotted. So when this creature is battlefield, if you exile the card this turn, this creature gets +2/+2. This is a really good combo for plot decks. So if you plot 2 or 3 cards, then when you cast this, it's going to get a 2/+2 buff. When this creature enters battlefield, it's plotted emblem, deal 2 damage. Shapeshift Rogue, when this creature enters battlefield, this card plotted emblem, reinforce creature control. Again, once it's got this plotted emblem, that will always happen. So if you combine that with like Virtue of Knowledge, so when you cast a new one, you're going to reinforce a creature. Virtue of Knowledge will drop in a copy. That will then also reinforce another creature. So plot's going to be a really fun mechanic for like slowing down games. So you charge a card up, exile it, then the next turn you'll get it for free. So you're basically slowing down a turn. Then we'll look at Spree again. Now Spree is just my favorite mechanic. It's so simple to easily just match Smuggler's Surprise Trojan Horse. Love the R word. Spree is just really simple to do at this point. All you really need to do, match your gems from conversion, and then once you get that counter up, you can do these effects. And because it lasts until your opponent's turn, cards with flash or spells that give you flash is going to be quite interesting to do. And then the last mechanic, which I think is probably the weakest from the set, Saddle. Oh, spelled saddle wrong. Shadow. Okay, why am I not spelling saddle? We'll just do sad. So we've got Saddle 2. So Saddle has some interesting facts. So when this creature attacks, if he has saddled, creature control get trampled. When this creature enters the battlefield as reinforced, if creatures get +2/+2. When it becomes saddled, double all buff use of target creature's control. And then to turn this creature is saddled, reinforce the first creature control. So some have more permanent effects. So I wanted to kind of chase this. But the issue is saddle only works if you have another creature on the board. So I want this one the most. When this creature attacks, if this creature is saddled, you may destroy attack creature control. If you do, draw X cards and convert X gems to one of that color's card's colors. X is the creature's power. That's going to be a fun card. Archmage Newt. This is probably the weakest because it just reinforces it until end of turn, but you can have some good combos. A black-green deck, this could become really evil. But it's until end of turn. End of turn. That looks like a permanent one. When this creature attacks, if this creature is settled, creatures control get +1/+1. That seems permanent. But again, I don't have an issue with the idea of saddle. It looks kind of, whoa, that looks evil. Unicorn. Because saddle does look like it could be an interesting mechanic. But if you don't have a creature on the board, then you're not really going to be getting full value out of it. So if you're versing somebody with a heavy removal deck, something like the saddle will probably find its weakness there, because if you don't have another creature on the board to do the saddle effect, it's not going to work. So far out the new set, the strongest mechanics seem to be plotted and spree. But they're my own opinion. I would love to get everyone else's opinion on what their favourite mechanics are from the new set. I hope this video helped you understand a little bit better on how the mechanics work. I really do hope that we do get training grounds soon, so we'll have to see. And thank you so for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.